Hello, I am Daniella Rudoff, and I'm the marriage architect. And I am so excited to have today a new guest for the Dating Smarter podcast. And this is Yossi Montrose, my new guest. And I met him at a conference a couple of months ago. And then I saw him again at a recent conference, and I just was blown away by what he has to offer the world. And I wanted to introduce him as the posture and confidence coach, and he uses this stability ball that I would only love to be able to master the way he does. To be able to I go to the gym and very often and that's one of those things that kind of sits over there in the corner. So ever since I met you, Yossi, you should know that I actually get on it a little bit, and I try to like do something so that I can start working my core muscles a little bit in that way, because the way you described it to me sounded so cool. So I know that's a long intro, Yossi, but I wanted to welcome you here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Daniela. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's really fascinating. I would love to learn a little bit about you first and then dive into a little bit more about what you do and how you do it, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
I
tell me where
was,
you're from.
yeah, I'm originally born in South Africa, Johannesburg, and I made Aliyah about 6 years ago, just over 6 years ago, with my wife and two kids at the time. And 2 years, almost 2 years ago, I had another son, first Sabra, for probably thousands of generation in the family, born in
Amazing.
Israel.
Amazing.
And yeah, that's pretty much where I was from, and I'm living in Haifa in Israel at the moment, and very happy to be here.
That is amazing. That is totally amazing. And on that note about Aliyah, coming from Joburg, right? Is that how they call it? So what made you feel like you wanted to make Aliyah? We also made Aliyah. We made Aliyah 20 years ago, so we also have our
Uh,
story. So I'm always curious what people's story is on that front.
so yeah, it's an interesting story. Like we were very hardcore South Africans. We love the country. We're never going to go anywhere. Israel's way too hard. It couldn't be. There's no ways you're going to move to Israel. We love Israel, but we couldn't never see ourselves living there. But things changed when we moved to Pretoria, and the deputy ambassador of Israel was there at the time, and they had two kids that were the similar ages as my two kids at the time. And we became very good friends. And they were always saying, "Why don't you make Aliyah? Like in the beginning, Israel would be so suitable for what you do. Like it'll be great." I said, "Yeah, right. No chance it's going to happen." But he kept, working on my subconscious about it. And my wife and I, we were at a Pesach lunch or something, at them. And we were talking. Israel was a big topic, and like joking where we would live. We'd live by Syria and Lebanon, and try and yeah, like joking and just playing around. And like that night, like my wife and I, we barely spoke to each other. And the next morning, we both like say, "Are you thinking about making Aliyah?" And at the same time, we said
It
yes.
worked, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that. I think for many people who make Aliyah from very comfortable lives outside of Israel, it takes something to get them starting to think about it. And then you either allow it to grow in your mind or you stop it. So it's that kind of, I think, for many people. And it's very nice. It's just a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure there's more to it. Is there more to it?
Yeah, look, it's just from South African point of view. I don't want to be too negative about the country, but just from a crime point of view, kids, we didn't really have an option with schooling. We wanted them to be in a Jewish school, but at the same time, we didn't want them to be driving from Pretoria to Johannesburg on the bus, like an hour there, an hour back, later, even more. And we were a little bit stuck. So, like, we felt like we were pushed and guided by Hashem as well when they clicked to make sense. Okay, wow, okay, this is our next step.
Right. Okay, those are also very practical reasons, of course. But
Yeah.
still, it's a very big move and a beautiful move because you haven't looked back. It sounds like you love being here, just like we feel the same way here.
Very happy. Yeah, yeah. Thank God.
So how, well, you came 6 years ago and I think you've been doing this for 23 years. If I understand, if I
Yes.
recall correctly. So how did you get involved in the stability ball? And then of course, I assume that the confidence and posture coaching came next. I just imagine, but I'd love to hear.
Yes, it's an interesting story. I'll tell you a bit of my personal history and background. I was born with a hearing difficulty. 3 years, my parents realized that I wasn't speaking at all. And they took me to get my hearing tested, and they picked up, they had a hearing difficulty. So I had to obviously wear hearing aids, but they tested my hand-eye coordination and it was pretty good. So for some reason, I was able to cope at a normal school and not be sent to remedial school where my younger brother couldn't cope and he had to be sent to remedial school because of a hearing loss. And I was given these very clunky hearing aids, and kids are kids. So they see something different and they latch onto you and they bully you and they make fun of you. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was at the playground and I was thought I heard something and I said something else, and then they completely made fun of me. And from that day on, I was known as the person who was the bullied. I wasn't like what you see me in my physical form now, but I was bullied every single day, and it got progressively worse and worse. I was isolated. I wasn't invited to anyone's birthday parties. I didn't get invited to any bar mitzvahs. The teachers all had a thing for me. I was just, I didn't fit. Life was absolute misery. Because of that, my posture, I wanted to make myself small and I had terrible posture. So to remain invisible, so I didn't want to be seen by anyone. I wanted to hide all the time. And I had terrible back pain and terrible neck pain because of my bad posture. And then somehow I managed to get through schooling. And then soon after school, I was very sporty. I managed just to get my time just to playing all different sports and by myself a lot. And I noticed I tried different types of exercises and nothing helped my back pain and nothing helped my posture. And I went to the gym the one day and I saw the ball. They brought the ball out and I just took to it. It was fun. So I went back the next day and started playing around in it, messing around with it. As you see, it's in the corner, as what you mentioned. No one
Yes.
does anything with it. No one uses it. Just collects dust. But this ball became my tool to improve my posture, which it did gradually. My back pain started disappearing. And before long, my posture, my confidence was affected because I had better posture. I was rewiring my mind and body from the physiology point of view and from mind point of view. And I was doing things that I never thought even possible. Before, I was scared of going through a baby pool, slide, whatever the case is. It'll take me forever to go down. From to skydiving to bungee jumping to playing with fully grown tigers and lions, swimming with them, and doing all sorts of crazy things, which have been amazing experiences. But that's because like I built up that my posture and my confidence, and I was able to start having the confidence to date. Before I didn't have any confidence to date. Never mind speaking to the opposite sex or having any other friends. And I built myself up through the ball, like rewiring my mind and body, and it played a huge part in terms of where my life is today versus where it was before.
I have so many things to say. So many. I can't get over. First of all, chills, chills, chills. When you were telling that story about being bullied every single day, chills like in a sad way. Like it was so horrible to hear that they allowed that to happen to you in the, I'm just horrified that you had to experience that kind of childhood. Um, I don't know. That is mind-boggling to me. I'm sorry that you had to deal with it. Obviously, you
Okay,
came
that's
out of it
I don't
stronger.
I don't want people to feel sympathy. It built me up. It's made me who I am. It gave me the
Yes.
character strength.
Yes, I think what I'm also saying is that no child should ever have to experience that.
Yeah,
So
of course.
that's what I mean in terms. I understand it built you up and it was a springboard for you. What happened with your hearing?
Well, I still have a hearing loss, but I manage cope pretty well with lip reading and sound. But it's still a battle. I did get the better hearing aids, more technology, more hidden hearing aids in Israel, but it's just very uncomfortable for me when I put it on. It just makes my ears inside very itchy, and I manage without it. It doesn't
That's
really
amazing.
affect me that much.
And I would never have known. Have you not said that?
Mm.
Never. I mean, and we've met a couple of times, and I never even thought that. So it's very nice for you to hear that. So
Yeah,
don't
thank
mind
you.
me. So that's phenomenal that you have overcome that. And I also think that the rewiring of your mindset, your brain, your physiology. I'm very into the neuroplasticity concepts. That's my family. So it's, I do believe, is integral to people's growth and change in their body to positive, and unfortunately could be for negative if they don't work on it. So they, meaning we, us, the world, each human being. So I totally get that. And how long you went from being a young child to dating, right? So like that's a very long period of time in terms of years. So at what point was it that you got on that, started playing around with the ball, the stability
Ability growth.
ball, and mastered it a little bit more to build that confidence?
I'd say it took about, I was 22 at the time when I found out about the ball. And to build that confidence, it took just about 8 months to a year, I'd say, to rewire myself. But it was a gradual
Sure,
progress. It wasn't like, okay, from 0 to 100 in 8 months,
sure.
but the shift kept happening. I mean, as like a couple of weeks, I started noticing no more back pain, so it kept gradually shifting. And obviously, in a year later, I was in a much better space than I was, but nowhere compared to where I was 8 years later, for example, or 10 years later.
So you, sorry, did you want to
Yeah,
say
what
more?
you going to say?
I was just going to say, how did you figure it out? Like, meaning, how did you figure out what kind of moves to do on the stability ball? I know that you can teach that to people today, but like, you just like started playing around with it and tried to do different exercises?
So initially that was the case, and when I noticed my back pain disappeared, I was just like, I said, hold on, like what's going on? Like I just like why all of a sudden do I not have back pain anymore? Where always suffered from terrible back pain, and I noticed myself getting taller, a little bit taller. That was through posture, better alignments, and it's very interesting. Like, over the years, I was 1.87, like, at 18, and like that's what I thought I would stay at. But over the years, like I'm 40, almost 46 now. I went from 1.87 gradually to 1.88, then 1.89, and then recently I measured myself on 1.9, 1.9. So lengthens the spine. You have a bigger space
Big
and
one.
hold be
Yeah.
able to have a hold of space, which obviously has an effect on confidence. So going back to the
Sure.
question, so I started researching it. I started, educating myself, doing courses online on the ball through Czech. I don't know if you heard of him, Czech Institute. Started learning about nutrition, how that plays a part. Started learning about sleep. Started learning about just general movement. Did the certification of advanced rehab on the ball. For 2 years, I was just building up that foundation before I started my own business and started helping people with back pain and posture, and then later on confidence. And yeah, so I was studying it, and then like I got bits and pieces from YouTube videos and other people doing. I got inspired by some people. Wow, they doing like they jumping on the ball. Like I never thought I could do that, and now I'm doing handstands. Never mind one ball and two balls, and jumping from two to two, and doing some crazy things. So I developed my program over the years, and I've created over 3,500 exercises on the ball for different types of programs, from strength to balance to mobility to just meditation to power to cardio, anything like really. And what I found is just because there's no impact, very low impact on the joints. So because of that, you're able to build your body up without the heavy impact of, say, weights or running or whatever the case is. And I feel like I'm in my 20s because I can do whatever my kids do, run after them, chase them, go wherever they go. And I'm involved with them. I'm not sitting on the sidelines watching them. And that's what I want to be like when I'm older, have no mobility issues, no pain, and the confidence to do whatever I want to do. So
Right.
that's how it's really built up.
It's amazing. I'm so impressed. Isn't it amazing how you built it into a business and to teach other people to bring goodness to their lives? I just find that fabulous. It's wonderful. It's really
No,
amazing.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds 3,500 different exercises to do on a stability ball, and I'm trying to figure out what can I do on this stability ball. So I
A
really need to
lot of
reach out,
people
right?
just
So,
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. They know a couple of exercises, maybe
right.
a crunch on the ball and a push up, and that's about it. Or, what else can you do? A bridge, whatever. But yeah, there's over 3,500 exercises and more and counting, because it's a never-ending progression. As you progress, the more exercises open up. Wow, I didn't think of that. And it's to do with your creativity and your mastery levels. And it's counting. It could go to 4,000, 5,000, 10,000,
Right. And what happens if somebody has, like I had shoulder issues for a while, and by the way, going back to certain exercises helped me recuperate. So I'm feeling much better. But when I was dealing with that, do you have, I'm assuming you do, that you care to that person who's having those shoulder issues, that you don't do certain things with them, right? Like, or that you can actually build them up with your stability ball exercises. I'm assuming.
Of course, I've helped a lot of people with joint pain. What the ball works amazing that you can control the body weights. So instead of doing a normal push-up, you don't have to load your body fully. And the ball does, the unstable environment gets that added blood flow into the shoulder joints, into the knee joints, wherever it is. And that added blood flow helps the healing process become quicker. And then you're not just healing it quicker, you're strengthening all those small shaky movements that you're doing. You're actually strengthening all the small stabilizers in your rotator cuff, for example, where a lot of the people, they work shoulders and their rotator cuff joints aren't strong enough and they get injured. So this is building up all those small supporting muscles behind, the bigger global muscles so that your body can support yourself and not become injured, whether, lifting something or walking and stepping funny and then putting your ankle out, spraining your ankle. Enables you to react much quicker as well. So a lot of different benefits to do, and it's also fun. It loads, you get dopamine hits, challenges your nervous system, which is very important. Rewires your mind and body, like, to be able to think under stress, and the dopamine hits that you're like, wow, I can master something, gets
That's
you
the
natural
goal.
dopamine, and you feel like, wow, I can do this, and your body's getting out of your comfort zone, and I can do more things out of my comfort zone, besides the training. I'm saying you can opens you up to a lot of different areas, and
Yes.
that's what it did for me.
Yes, I'm a big believer in that. Like when we step out of our comfort zone, which is hard to do, then you're working that muscle, right? So you're working the muscle of growth and trying to get to the next stage of whatever it is that you're of development for yourself. So I believe that as well. But I guess I would have to have a lot of sense of humor to do that, like humor, like to be able to laugh at myself if I can't accomplish the things that you have. I mean, I've seen you stand on that ball without holding on to anything, right? So that's very amazing. I don't know if anybody else has seen. You should go over to his website. What's your website?
It's performable.com.
Performa. Well, we'll put it into the comments.
Yeah,
Uh,
put it in the comments.
or in the description wherever I end up putting it. So I would love for people to come to you. And so let's talk about a little bit about how you see somebody's confidence growing. I mean, I could talk about it as well, but if they do your program for dating, in other words, I also I'm the marriage architect, so it's clearly for people in life in general, as you have described. It's leaders, it's every single person, people who are married, people who are dating, but specifically, I'm doing the Dating Smarter podcast here. So how would you see this for a person who's, seems like a regular, amazing person, somebody who's been building themselves up as who I would consider an amazing person, you would consider an amazing person who, like, why haven't they gotten married kind of situation that a lot of people say about amazing people who aren't married yet. I mean, obviously, they have to find the right person for them. Obviously, has to be at the right time and the right development for each person to match to be the right timing. But you're here right now. I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are.
Yeah, all those points are valid, but I think it starts within. You have to work on yourself. A lot of people think, the other person will help me and fix me, and, all of a sudden, but it's never ever does. It just causes more issues, especially if you haven't built that foundation within yourself.
Right.
So when you work on yourself, whether, however it is, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that's all important to be able to get an understanding of yourself. So what it does when you work physically, you telling yourself a few things. Number one, that you are important, you are worth it. And you're leveling up the playing field because you're valuing yourself more, and people are attracted to that. If people have poor posture and don't look like, yeah, they're an amazing person, but why they're struggling a lot, like if they built up this inner confidence and authenticity inside themselves, and by having a good posture and not becoming off like, as not so sure, self-doubt, they have more self-assurance within themselves. The other person will definitely find them more attractive, and whether it works out or not for whatever reason, but at least they'll have more of a chance, and get to know the other person, and the other person get to know them if it's a right fit. But that's because that you've worked on yourself, not because you're
Yeah.
waiting for someone else out there to do it for you. It becomes a disaster,
Yes.
um, at at some point. So
Yeah.
it's always important to work on, like, your inner core, your inner foundation, physically, spiritually, whatever.
Yes. I like to say, be who you want to be. You want to date somebody who has confidence. You want to be somebody who, has worked on themselves also in many ways, like you're saying, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Do it yourself, and
Yeah.
a lot of people will come to me and then they'll say, I work on myself, I work out, so I want somebody who also works out. Like you hear them, saying it in a nice way, like that they're doing it, so that they're looking for a similar type, because then people are coming to me because they want to get married, so that's why they come to me. And I couldn't agree with you more. So there are many ways of doing that, and I think this is one really wonderful, incredible avenue to work on oneself. So that's great. And I also met your amazing wife, Justine, at the latest conference, and I was just so happy to meet such a cute, sweet, fun couple. And so I just wanted to make note of that. And something else that she said to me about you, and I think you heard her tell me, but I will
Mm.
say it, is that she was so impressed when she met you for the first time because you had so much confidence. And that was the thing that was so impressive to her. And she was like, I got to get to know this guy. So,
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's where it boils down to. I was at the point of my stage where I did the deep work on myself, the training. I mean, I did a lot of also spiritual, mental, emotional work as well. But, for me, the ball became like, my safe spot and my
right,
foundation. I built that foundation. People could see it when they met me, like, wow, like you've like transformed, you've changed. Like, but I wasn't arrogant. I was never arrogant in that sense where like it's a false confidence, because I embodied it within in myself. It became who I am.
right.
So when I met Justine, like, obviously I had, also built up to that point where like, I am, take it or leave it, like,
Right.
I don't, this is my values. These are my, what I want to do. And I stick to them. And I have that foundation built up from physical, but also mental, because if you don't stand for anything, you fall for everything. So you
Yes.
have to be able to stand up to your own
Yeah.
inner values. And no matter what, even if it comes, because there's always going to be fights and arguments. So if you compromise once on your inner values, it's going to come crashing down. Obviously, it's not black and white, and inner values can change over time. But I'm saying if it's already your core values that like for example, in religion, like kosher, I'm not going to eat non-kosher no matter what, or I'm going to keep Shabbat no matter what. If you let it compromise once, then that foundation is going to start crumbling down.
Right.
But you got to embody it in your physical, that you feel stable in your body to have that mental stability as well.
Yes, yes, 100%. Core values are key, and being strong with them is key. Absolutely. In fact, I think when I set people up, I say, like on first date, of course, I have the long term in mind that it could be a good suggestion for marriage. And one of the things I say is, like you can't change height, but now maybe I can change that. Go to Yossi.
Mm.
You can't change height, you can't change age, right? There are certain things you can't change, but someone's value system, their core values, their personality, people can work on those things, right? And then that is a
Yeah.
person that, paying attention to those values is what I look at, their personalities in my mind. That's what I look at because I meet with each person. So, um, I love everything you're saying because those types of things speak a lot to me when I'm setting people up. I listen to, we have conversations, each person I meet with, so you can see their value system. You see their attitude about how they speak about things in life, what's important to them. It's very different than a piece of paper. So I love everything that you're saying. And yes, it's important
I
to have these
appreciate it. Thank
strong
you.
values. And also that I'm a very big believer in exercise and, eating healthy, eating right, mindset work, all of this. So it really resonates with, all the different ways that you're speaking about the stability ball, particularly, and how you built your whole business and, teaching posture and confidence to leaders, to people, to daters. I think that it's very special, and like the key is also working at it daily. It's not just one thing that you do one day and then you could say, oh, I exercised like once in my life. Or I think exercise is important and only going once in a very long while. No, a persistent everyday kind of, or almost everyday kind of regiment habit building is something very special and tells something about the person who does it. So that it's important to them. It's like you're saying, the core value system. So I love it.
Thank you. Also, there's another point I wanted to add, like with when it comes to poor posture, when someone sits on the chair all day, for example, the chair supports your spine, and then gravity takes its toll, and it gets you into a bad position with posture. So when they come to me, I get them to sit on the ball. Why? Because you're strengthening, number one, your postural muscles, your back, your posterior. You are getting that movement, your daily exercise, which is vital, especially when it comes to relationships. I'm going to come back to relationships with this. What happens when people are stagnant? Number one, they have an energy slump, brain drain. They're forced to drink coffee. They're forced to have sweets, unhealthy foods, and that affects the circadian rhythm. Now, if you're not sleeping well, your mood the next day is not going to be so good. So imagine, like in a relationship point of view, if you're doing this day in and day out, you having less and less sleep, your quality is not good. You feel miserable. Your relationship's going to be taking a negative toll because you're not going to be treating that person with that positive energy. And poor posture is a big killer of relationships as well as oneself, because it's a vicious cycle. But once you have that movement all the time. Just, for example, by doing this when I'm sitting on the ball and bouncing, you're getting that added blood flow. I don't feel that energy slump at midday or when it comes 3 o'clock. I don't need to grab that coffee or extra sugar. I can eat when I'm hungry. I get up and eat a proper meal, but I don't need to. I can continue working because I'm adding that movement to it. And my
That is so
posture's
cool.
fit. That means it affects my sleep in a positive way. And the next day I'll feel better, obviously, because you had a better sleep and your relationships will improve because you have a better attitude and better energy towards it.
I didn't, yeah, I didn't know that. You're, first of all, I see now that you're on the ball. The whole time I didn't really recognize that you were on the stability ball as we speaking. But what do you mean? Like when you're moving your body, that's when you increase the blood flow, and that is when you're not getting
100%. It
into the
creates
slump.
natural energy. It's blood flow. Think of like a stagnant body of water.
Right.
No one's going to go near that. It's going to repel everything, except for mosquitoes and parasites and disease. The body's the same way. If you're not moving, then it becomes stagnant, and then it opens up to disease. People get repelled, not attracted to you. You need to have that blood flow that
That
will
is
be
so cool.
inviting. You need to have that water refreshing so people can come drink and bath or whatever, or play in it. So your body needs to embody that where it comes to mobility and movements throughout the day, not just like, okay, I'll do my exercise. You can never out-train bad sitting, like or sitting on a chair, and you can never out-train a bad diet either. I mean, everything is connected, of course.
That is so
So
interesting. And
it's
maybe that's why
important
I
to
call
have
it a
all this.
body, like body of water, body. Like
Yeah,
just to keep
exactly.
moving, right? So
A
interesting.
fresh thing of water, you can swim, drink, you can do anything, everything in it. And the same with the body. It needs that
Interesting.
movement.
Very interesting. And it keeps the momentum going. It's one of my keys in
Yeah.
dating. Is like I always say to people, you have to keep the momentum going. Just keep the movement, keep it happening. Like, message, ask them out. Don't let too many days happen in between, like too many days in between the first phone call and the date. Like go and meet the person. So it really resonates with a lot of this kind of philosophy that I have.
And also, with neuroscience, going back to neuroscience, like when you're in a bad posture, your prefrontal cortex shuts down. It switches off. That's the decision-making part of your brain. So when you have brain fog, when it comes to dating, you're going to make, your decisions are going to become poor, and you can make mistakes that, repel the other person or cause conflict. But when you have better posture, it switches back on. You become more clear. You have clarity. You're able to think better because now you have a better posture. You can breathe through the diaphragm as opposed to just chest breathing, and you can pause and you can have more of an impact with any type of environment, whether it's speaking, whether it's dating, with whatever it is. And that's why posture is so key to everything.
Yeah. Wow. This is fascinating. Really fascinating, Yossi.
No,
So
thank you, Daniel.
impressed. I'm impressed because it, it's true. I mean, everything that you're saying is valid, true, and proven, as you have said. And I'm a big believer in general of exercise, and I'm. It's so cool to me that you can do all this with that stability ball that sits in the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't sit in the corner in your house; it's right under you. So, it's totally amazing. Are there any other? I mean, I think you've said a lot of amazing things that have been great, valuable tips for people listening. And I would love for them to be able to contact you, and maybe I should contact you as well, so I can get all of this goodness.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not just for people dating; it's for anybody, right? Like for you, you learn that in your life as well. So, how can people contact you on your website, Facebook? Like
Annie,
what's
I'm on
best?
all social media, Facebook, websites, my details on there. Um, and just start small, start just by slowly replacing the chair with the ball. And that's just those tiny little changes makes a huge difference over time. You start feeling better, you start feeling more energized, you have you start building up slowly with your confidence. You feel like, wow, you turn that anxiety into excitement. You feel
Yeah.
like, wow, I want to go on that date, or I want to, let's do this. And
Yes. Yes.
it
I like
just
that. It's a different
just feels
energy.
bring that energy in there, and to get that energy you need movement. You can't, it doesn't happen with just sitting static. When you see people walking, talking, and on a sales call, they're not going to sit down on a chair. They're going to be walking, pacing up and down, because it's blood flow, it's movements. It's the same
Right.
thing. You need that
Right.
movement.
Right. And even if it's not the right person that they're dating, I want to point this out. What you just said something that really speaks to me. Before I met my husband, there were other dates I went on, right? Like it wasn't like he was the first person I met. Some people do
Yeah,
their first person.
of course.
But let's just say for the people who get a suggestion that is not their spouse, they get despondent, they get upset if it's not for them, it didn't work out. But what I like to look at is this kind of energy, the energy of okay, fine. So I'm going to meet somebody new. It's kind of like it's an exciting endeavor, and of course, it's disappointing if the person didn't meet the right person on a date. Okay, but if they go in with a neutral expectation to positive, it's more like, okay, that's so nice. Someone thought of me. And it seems close, like a good idea. There wasn't any chemistry, but you know what? Thank you. Like, okay, so it's like working the muscles of being positive and making good things come in your life. If it's not the first, the second, or the third, but maybe it's the fourth, maybe it's the seventh, maybe it's the 20th. But then you meet your spouse, but the energy is positive that keeps bringing in good things. At least they're good dates, or at least they're nice people, right? And even if it's not any of that, it's thank you so much for thinking of me, right? Or I just met a nice person in the world. So I think that embodies the energy that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's also like, there's disappointment's going to happen if you think it's for you, but you can't take that personally, because you also have to know what your inner values are. Like, yes, it happened to me personally. I mean, like, Justine wasn't the first person I met. I mean, I only met her when I was 33. I mean, I had years of dating and not fitting into any mold, but through that process, you know what you want, what you don't want. I cut off girls that I didn't feel that were the right values myself, and you have to draw that line and saying,
Yes.
this is for me. If I'm not for her, good, move on. Same with both. And if you both can connect, there's no, I wouldn't take it, it feels personal, but I wouldn't take it personally, because it's just not the right person. You have that in the confidence, you know who you are, and you just move on to the next one, and you keep
Right.
going. And then you will meet someone who clicks and you connect with. And that's with anything, you can't, with sales, with anything, marketing.
Right. But what I'm saying is the attitude. I think the attitude speaks a lot. It's yeah, okay, fine. Let's just move on. Like that kind of attitude instead of getting, you know,
Exactly.
just
Getting down.
depressed, upset. And I think I think that it's stability ball sitting here and like moving, that kind of movement versus sitting on the couch, which most people do, or sitting on the chair, whatever it is, and then like sinking. And I see it in my head now. It's like you're just keeping going, like the movement,
Yeah.
right? And the right one will come, and then everybody else who's not doing that, I shouldn't say it should be like that, I'm just saying it feels like that now in this conversation, that everyone else is like, oh, slump, like that wasn't good. So like just keep it going. I'm going to be using
Yes.
this a lot now. That's a good
Yeah, exactly.
analogy.
That's
So,
great
like,
analogy.
let's just keep this going and keep meeting the right person with the positive attitude is really what it's all about, I
And the
think.
more you do that, the more people will see that and be attracted to your energy.
Yes.
When if you slump down and you have bad posture, it's going to repel. It takes a lot to build that
Yes.
up and to
That's exactly what I talk about. So my mantra is neutral expectations breed high results, as opposed to high expectations breed low results. So it's
yeah,
like if you keep a neutral expectation, you're gonna have a high result because okay, I just met a nice person, or I had a great coffee, or
yeah,
or
exactly.
had a good exercise, whatever whatever, walking there to the date. But like I'm bringing this back to the dating. So at the same time, a high expectation, you think you're meeting the right one, which of course we all hope it is when I set you up, but if it's not, then the low result is like so devastating to the person that it's hard to pick themselves up. So this neutral expectation with the keeping things moving in a positive way is something that I really appreciate very much. And I use it in my own life for these concepts, for every single thing that I do. So, yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, amazing. Well, it has been a pleasure, Yossi, to meet you and before to meet your wife. I wish everybody else was able to meet her now, but I know that she's busy right now. And I really commend you for creating such a wonderful, valuable exercise program and leadership program and dating leadership program for people to attend and to grow through your work. So
Thank you so much for having me, Daniela. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Also, a pleasure meeting you as well at the
thank you.
business conferences. And wish you much success on getting many, many more matches.
Maine, I really hope so. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Thank you.
all right, take care, Essie. Bye bye.